Hey guys, Doug here for Motion, back with another Tech Tip Tuesday. We get a lot of questions about steering shafts, the U-joints, the intermediate shafts on builds when people are putting stuff together. As you know, we sell a lot of lightweight columns and we sell steering shafts and U-joints and everything else in between. One thing some folks really have a lot of questions on are steering joint phasing. So what that means is you have two U-joints, they obviously bend. So where do you want these to bend at in relation to each other? There's a lot of confusion about it, and if you just put this together without paying attention to it, it can definitely cause you some issues. There's two different style steering shafts that we use and we sell and suggest people have. There's a 3/4 double D. This is a very standard steering shaft. It's used by a lot of companies, a lot of builders. It's readily available and a lot of U-joints adapt to it. There's also 3/4 chromoly thin wall tubing. It just basically removes some weight from everything. So on a pure race car, a lot of folks will use that. It's strong enough for a lot of folks to use on the street, though it's not recommended. On this 3/4 double D, it has a flat on each side, which means that you really can't clock these wrong. You can only clock them 180 degrees of each other. And like I said, with phasing, you're talking about basically this point in the U-joint compared to this point in the U-joint, or this point versus this point. On round, you can actually clock this wherever. So if you're just building a vehicle and you're just throwing it together, not paying attention, you can actually clock this incorrectly. So now the U-joints will be out of phase. And what this does is it will create a hard spot in your steering. So as you go to steer it, the U-joints kind of bind up because they're not phased correctly, and you'll feel a hard spot. Sometimes you can't always feel it in a wheel, but when you put a car on a lift, you can kind of feel it real notchy. It becomes a safety concern, especially on a race car. You want that steering to be as free as possible, because depending on where the car, the A-arms are at, where the steering's at, the angularity and all that stuff, it can definitely cause you some issues. So like I said, with 3/4 double D, you're fine, but with round, you definitely want to pay attention to that. We'll get into more steering tech tips as we go, because there's a lot of questions and a lot of things that we can add to this, but we'll just cover that in this video. Stay tuned for another video where we'll cover angularity, when to use double U-joints, when to use single U-joints, and what's appropriate and what's not. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys have any suggestions, be sure to drop them below in the comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button. We'll see you guys next time.